you're going to bump your net profit by about 6% just from taking one action or one decision, which is pretty cool. And here's what makes it even cooler. You take that $9,000 in, but you reinvest it to the business. You will buy more inventory, or just increase your ad budget. You drive more traffic, you drive more sales, you drive more revenue, or drive more profit again.
Yeah,
that is the flywheel that I'm talking about. If you do that, you're on the right side of the flywheel. If not,
Hello. Welcome everyone to today's edition of Trellis Live. Today's going to be a really fun one. I'm going to bring a good friend of mine to the stage here, an old friend as well. I call him Mr. Yoni Mazur, the GOAT of refunds. Yoni, how are you, man?
You're good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, happy to have you, man. It's these refund changes coming in here are big impacts to profits, big impact to drivers. It's something that I know that you're well routed or well spoken in rather, and have a significant amount of expertise within it as well. Talk to me more, man. Talk to me about Getita. Talk to me about refunds. Talk to me about your background, who you are, where you're from, all the fun things. Obviously, you're from New York, but tell me more, man.
So first of all, New Jersey, across the river, I just I get to enjoy the New York view and not pay the taxes, so that's a little bit of a benefit. That's a little quick hack for anybody lives around the area. But yeah. So Yoni Mazur, I mean, a lot to unpack. I'll try to make it short and sweet. I'm one of the co-founders and chief growth officer of Getita. In short, Getita, we're a technology company, and our mission is pretty simple: is to help Amazon FBA sellers get the maximum FBA reimbursements that they're eligible to receive. So typically what happens is when you connect to Getita, we're able to go back up to 18 months into the past, find all these issues that happen with the inventory. That's our right? What the technology does. But then we have a dedicated service team, and our team will basically, open cases for you, manage all the back and forth until there's a resolution, typically in a format of a refund or reimbursement. We're the largest organization in the world dedicated exclusively for this mission of FBA auditing and reimbursements. We have, a team of over 200, team members in 12 countries. We audit tens of billions of dollars of FBA transactions every single day across our user base. We're an authorized solution provider by Amazon, the App Store. And yeah, and we started about, 2015, so about 9 years ago. And Getita, in a nutshell, actually, just to give some more context, was born from my experience as an Amazon seller. So I don't sell on Amazon anymore. I cashed out 2019, but over a decade ago, we started selling online. We started on, we had a website. Then we started on eBay. Then 2013, we started selling on Amazon. And then the business grew very quickly from 0 to 20 million, then to 100 million. And we found that there's constantly issues with our inventory, with our FBA inventory. And on an annual basis, it was ranging between 1 to 3% from our revenue, which means when we're doing 100 million, we had to recover between $1 to $3 million of refunds every year, right? But the issue was that we had so much data to process, we were not able to use spreadsheets. They were breaking. So we had to kind of do two things. First thing was to create technology. Second thing is to have a dedicated team just for this mission. So we created the solution for ourselves. We're friendly people, we're buddies. And we told our friends from the industry back in the day that we have these capabilities. They told us, help us, we'll pay you. And that was the early genesis of Getita back in 2015. And then 3-4 years, it just grew organically until 2019. We decided to cash out of retail, take all of our profit, focus, attention, motivation to one place instead of two places. And from that point on, we kind of took, leadership on the niche. And that's in a nutshell who I am, where I'm from, New Jersey, Texas, all that stuff. Hopefully it was good enough.
You hit a few different points there, right? Like at the end of the day, Getita is like super focused, hyper focused on solving this pain point for sellers, right? And it's kind of what I found interesting was what you were talking about was like, at a certain point, the spreadsheets don't work, right? And like in a similar vein, as much as you guys are hyper focused on the refund side, we're focused on the demand side and driving the revenue, but solving the same thing, right? Spreadsheets don't work. You need automation and you need AI. You need some of these things to be programmatic to help drive things forward for you and be profitable, right? To your point.
To do it constantly at scale. Once again, constantly at scale.
Yeah.
Things you can do constantly, you can't do it at scale. So you can do it at scale, but you can't do it constantly. You gotta, marry that. At least for us, I guess for you guys as well. Marrying that is a really important thing to do for an organization.
That's actually entirely, and I'm actually glad you mentioned that, right? Like if you're growing, you have to stop doing things manually. You can't scale, and you need to be doing things all the time, right? And as you grow, there's more and more data sets, more and more pain points, more and more problems.
More changes. Today we're gonna cover some of the ground of the changes in my world, but yeah.
And that's entirely it. Like 1% on 100,000, that doesn't seem like that much. I'm not going to really lose sleep over that. 1% out of million, I start thinking about that a little bit more. 1% out of 10 million, I start thinking about that even more. 100 million, even more, right? And so as you keep growing, you need scale, you need automation, you need tools and
You need
platforms.
partners. You need
You need
to partner
partners.
with, I would say, the best of breed that you can really identify and find,
Yeah.
and yeah, and really create this ecosystem around your business with the best of breed that constantly changes and evolves over time with all the issues and all the challenges. And well, while you survive, because if you survive, you'll probably thrive. Yeah.
And that's the hardest part, right? Like, I feel like any brand that's kicking out here is always looking at how am I surviving, and then once I figure that out, okay, well, can I keep thriving now?
Surviving is
Right?
part of the thrive. And in this industry, there's all these, just changes and updates and TOS updates, and then some of them
And
just don't survive it. But you to survive it, you get the market share in a way.
that's it. That's it. Right. So it's a game of time. It's a game of resilience. It's
Game of
and
Thrones, but yeah,
Game of Thrones. That's right. And I think Amazon owns the main throne
the
right
kingdoms, the whole
now.
universe.
The
Yeah.
kingdom. Yeah, they play across the entire space there. But that being said, the changes are impactful. They impact your business any single time Amazon launches a new FBA fees, new changes in terms of how they fulfill, or more specifically, what we're talking about today, their refund policies, right? On those like damaged products or returns, anything around how you actually get money back from Amazon and how you look at that. That policy is changing, and that in turn has significant impact to your bottom line and profit. I know you care about it. I know you talk about it. I know it's something that you're trying to get in front of as many sellers. But let's start there, man. Like, what is this change? What's actually going on here?
You got it. Okay, so let's dive right into the meat and potatoes. And as we dive, as a preface, I think that's the name of the word. In short, guys, you have a deadline. There's a deadline for Amazon FBA sellers. The deadline is October 23rd, and that's gonna. I'm running to the end, right?
Yeah.
And because of this deadline, if you act on time, you're gonna be in the best positioning possible. And if you're not, you're probably gonna be in the worst positioning possible. And your competitors, whoever is around there, and that's listening to what I'm saying and actually optimizing,
Yeah.
will be positioned to once again survive and thrive. So
Yeah.
let's dive right into it. I did prepare, some presentation for you
Okay.
guys, so we
Okay.
can do this methodically. Methodically, that's a
That's it.
big word that I
Um,
like.
and for everyone that's paying attention here, everyone that's tuned in here as well, if you have any questions along the way, like this is a discussion, we're open to answering them. Just chime in, drop them into the chat here as well, and we'll make sure that we address them as well. But Yoni, tell us a story, man. Take us away. Show us the problem.
Let's go. Let's go. You see my screen?
I sure can. There
All
we
right,
go.
sweet. Okay, good. So once again, guys, exactly like Ali was saying, this is all for you. So once you have questions, just, shoot them at us. We'll be happy to oblige and address those. Okay, so we spoke about myself. We spoke about Gatira, and let's first of all start with the basics, right? Like, what is Amazon saying? So you'll see this is the notice they provided in July 24th. Actually, at the same time the Olympics were starting. Maybe they used the halo and attention of the Olympics to drop this, I won't say bomb, but this, update. So there's a lot of words. It's written in English. Nevertheless, it's Amazonian English. So I'm trying to help, capture the essence of what they're trying to say in a very simple form and fashion. The first paragraph is kind of saying, starting November 1st, we'll proactively reimburse you for a certain claim type. That claim type is called lost warehouse. Okay, that seems kind of okayish. But here's what they're saying. This is really the main keywords. Almost. And once again, I'm repeat. Almost all reimbursement claims related to loss, damage, and customer returns, so 3 claim types, will now be proactively reimbursed. However, this is the second keyword. You will need to file manual claim. In other words, you will still need to audit us and file for these claims. So let's step back a little bit. Claims, what's going on? There's these types, that type. Okay, so let's go back and let me tell you this. Gatira, we look at about 30 claim types or issues that happen with the inventory inside FBA. Out of the 30, they're kind of addressing 3 claim types or 3 types of issues that are about to change. Okay, there's changes, right? So the first change is for one of them, they're gonna proactively reimburse, but nevertheless, to tell you, even though we proactively reimburse, we want you to audit us and file a claim. Okay, that's where they're saying you will need to file a manual claim. All right,
Yeah.
so keyword
So
one,
either way,
almost.
that's no different than what's there right now, right? Like
That's
they
right. Yeah,
are.
actually, they're kind of stating the obvious because the reality is today everything kind of stays the same. These 3 claim types, for the most part, their system automatically tries to reimburse you, and you still need to audit them. You need to go back 18 months and audit them,
Yeah.
and see if their system missed anything. that really is the situation right now. That's really the situation is going to remain the same. Only thing that's really changing with this whole notice is really those 1, 2, 3 points here. So once again, almost all reimbursements, right? But you still need to file a manual claim. And here's the gist: you have less time to do it because it's saying you need to submit no later than 60 days for this claim type, 60 to 100 days for that claim type, and up to 75 days for that claim type. I'm simplifying everything. I don't want to overread it and complicate. So in short, they're saying we got to automatically reimburse you, which you do now. Okay, you still need to audit us, which you have to do now. But really, instead of having 18 months like you used to have, you have less time. That's pretty much to simplify the whole essence here.
So that's so essentially status quo, right? Not much is changing. Hopefully they get better with their proactive reimbursements, which they already do within that 60 to 65 day window there that I've heard you and Rob talk about extensively. But it more than anything, it's saying that, well, you actually have decreased the window you have to go back and look at it.
Yeah, about 90%, which is dramatic. Okay, that's so let's try to illustrate this in in a better way. Okay, so all these words, that's pretty much this is what's going on here. So I added a few claim types because there's more. I don't want to overcomplicate, but this is a list of the claim types and the time frames allowed. So let's go one by one. FBA inbound shipments, that's when you ship your inventory to FBA and some of it is lost, right? You ship 1,000, they only get 190. So you have about 6 months in Europe to audit for this and reconcile and get reimbursements, and you have 9 months in the USA. Okay, so this will remain the same. I'm going to jump to the end, actually. When in dimension fees, when they overcharge you by mistake on fulfillment fees because they have information and data on your product where they think it's larger and heavier than it actually is, they're going to overcharge you with fees. You have 90 days, 3 months to reconcile and get reimbursement for that. Okay, and then these three are changing. The loss damaged, FBA customer refunds, and FBA removal orders. Because right now you have 18 months to go back and audit for those, even though their system automatically reimburses you. In other words, right now their system automatically reimburses. You still need to go back 18 months, see what they didn't reimburse you, and get those reimbursements. And they're a lot, right? Right now they're 18 months, and check this out. This is the before, and this is the after. Let's do this again. Before, after, before, after, before, after, before, after. As you can see, inbound shipments, nothing changed. When in dimension fees, nothing changed. These three changed from 18 months to 2 months, 4 months, and 2.5 months. Yeah. Here they're expecting an improvement. Not clear if they do. These other claim types, there's no expected improvements on the auto reimbursement, meaning they already automatically reimburse you. They haven't mentioned that they're going to do a bit better. Here they kind of suggested that. We don't know. Right now on the data side, we cannot see that, but maybe. So yeah, bottom line is, sorry, you were saying?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, right? Like they're really only talking about expected improvements just for those lost and damaged units, right? Like but they're also decreasing the time frame.
Yeah, they're saying we're gonna try to be better at it, but the cost of that will be that we're gonna shave your time frame to check us and our work by 90%. If you had 18 months to go back and kind of figure it out, you have only about 2 months right now, which is pretty dramatic. And the sellers who never were able to really do this on time on the 18 months, in other words, 18 months was not enough for them, you can bet your life that 2 months is definitely not enough for them to handle this.
Yeah. And is that the pain, right? Like let's talk about that. Because I would think that, okay, I'm looking at this every 4 months. Like we have, you and I both work with brands that are looking at this more frequently because they know the impact of their business. Again, as you're a little bit larger, they know that percentage number that it breaks down, like that 1 to 3%. But what's really holding brands back? What's the pain here that they can't get it done in 4 months? And
so here's the facts. The overwhelming majority of FBA sellers simply don't handle not just any of these. They just don't. They're behind and they're on auditing and reconciling and getting reimbursements for FBA. That's just the reality. That's why Gatira, just to be direct and frank, that's why we have a job. Because the reality is that this is very unsexy. This is not the business, right? This is just maintenance, right? And so because it's maintenance, it's line item 179 for you to do on your Amazon business. Because the business is sourcing, launching, driving traffic, which means kind of advertising. When you have drive traffic, you convert, you generate sales, you generate margin. That's the business. You're selling a brand, right? That is the core of the business. That is really where your 90+% of your energy is applied. So it moves the needle. So you have income, right? And then you have all the stuff around to maintain the business. You have to do, reconciliation like with this. You have to maybe once a year do your taxes and things that, you drag your feet because you have a little bit of time. When even you do your taxes, January 1st, you don't have to file the taxes out of the way. They tell you got until, you know, March or April. You can even get extension until September, and you drag your feet, you do last minute, or you don't do it all. Sometimes you're even late, and then you pay penalties. But that's what it is, because once again, that's not the core, that's not the business. It's just maintenance of the business. So
It's an afterthought, right? It's at the end of the day, they assume everything is fine. Everything is like, you know, everything is up to snuff here, and everything's happening in the way that it needs to. But it's not, to your point, it's not core, right? Exactly what you said. Sellers focus on selling.
yeah,
Sourcing,
and
selling,
a few
selling the
more things to
product.
that. So it's not the core, it's in the sidelines. And the reality is, there's another reality, there's another layer. Another layer is that most sellers are not even aware that it's the thing they have to do, meaning they don't even have an acknowledgement that something can go wrong with their inventory, and they have to reconcile and audit it. It's not like, you know, when you do your taxes, you kind of know. When you file tax once, you kind of know, unless you really live on the rock, so you don't file your taxes, which I doubt, at least in the United States. But so yeah, overwhelming majority of the sellers are not even aware there's issues. So that's why we go out and educate them, you know, that they are, and we actually train a lot of them how to do it themselves. So they don't have to pay us anything; they just do it themselves. So by that, we're actually fulfilling our mission. Our mission is, once again, to make sure that FBA sellers get the maximum refunds that they're eligible to receive. The way we do it is through education. We'll just show you how to do it. You go and do it, and of course, we can partner with you. We can do everything for you, or some of it, meaning you can do the maximum that you can do on your own. And then whatever's left out, we can come in and clean it and sweep it out. So it doesn't have to be you or us; it could be together. So any way you want it, we can help you get there. So once again, most sellers are not aware it's a thing, but the sellers that are aware it's a thing is simply can't figure this out on time, because there's, once again, 30 things you got to look into. These are just a few of them that we're focused on because of the updates and changes, and you don't know how far and deep this can go. So you take some action, you get some of the refunds, but you don't get all the refunds. And it's also very cost prohibitive for you to stop the whole train, stop the whole business, stop it, and just go back and file claims back and forth and documents. It's just not really productive. It's not sexy, it's not productive, it's not the core.
It doesn't excite people, right? Like they didn't get into doing this to run audits on their inventory and what happened and all of that as well, right?
So and here's the final punch. Take everything that I said and add to the fact that even the core is hard, meaning it constantly changes, right? You have to constantly learn and adapt and change with sourcing, launching, global logistics, advertising. That each one of them is very intense in its own merit, right? So the more that gets more complicated, this also changes. It gets more complicated. Like right now, you see from 18 months and a few claims, you only have 2 months, right? So I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's extremely challenging for the sellers to handle the core, successfully over time. They constantly got to evolve and change. And this also with this little sideline issue that's happening and brewing, that as well. So that's the honest truth of the complexity, challenges, why this is, why sellers are not optimizing for this.
Yeah, no, and it makes a lot of sense, right? And like to the same reason why, like where Trellis comes in and helps solve for that, right? To the point you made earlier when we were when we started this, is like having the right partners in place to make the selling experience better for you, to be more profitable, to have the opportunity to actually grow profitably as well, and focus on the things that you're good at, or focus on things that you want to focus on, because there's so many components here, right? And so it's like between both of us here, it's like, how do we solve for these things? How do we solve for these brands who want to be able to grow, who want to look at profits, who want to make that happen? And so Yoni, so we got the timelines come down here. It's going to impact if you haven't done this at all before. You kind of have to act soon. Tell me what else you got on the slides here.
You got it. But just one last point about what you're saying, which is very, very true, is selling on Amazon or being a brand owner, you got to, owning this business or being the entrepreneur that started it all, you have to think of yourself more like a person that really is trying to build a puzzle, right? And there's all these pieces to the puzzle, and you need to have a vision of what you're trying to build. And of course, when you build a puzzle, and especially has a lot of parts, you're probably going to have team members, or teammates or friends or family, whatever is helping you out. But still, you have to look at the entire picture, the vision, see how it's all connecting together, making sense. That's a kind of an analogy of how you should probably, be looking at your business. And if you have a 10,000 piece puzzle, and you have only certain time frame to actually build this puzzle, because you don't have all the time in the world to build a puzzle and all the time in the world to, manage every aspect of your business, that's where you're probably going to ask for help, right? You're going to have people join you, because it's just going to be impossible. You're just going to, quote unquote, surrender and not have anything come out of this puzzle or this Amazon business. So that is a figurative way to kind of approach and understand this, and hopefully you are. You have a
I
big
love it.
puzzle, you have all these pieces. The more you have friends or people who can help you with that, it's great. But you, once again, you are in charge. Say, hey, you see it all connects, and you see the vision of the puzzle, and you get to enjoy it and hang on your wall, and it works in your benefit. You're saying?
That's it. No, I love that analogy, right? Like you're putting together the puzzle pieces to support the growth of your business. You can always do it. You can do it yourself up to so far, right? When it comes to scale, when it comes to constantly scaling, as you talked about, as you mentioned there too, what are the right pieces that come together that fit with your main piece in the middle, right? That you being that first piece, what are the other ones that can come and bridge on top of that? And so I actually love that analogy, man. I'm
It's all
gonna,
yours, man. I just made it up, and it's all yours. But
yeah, I'm gonna
you
steal it.
brought
I'm
me to
gonna
this
keep.
place,
Yeah, exactly. Hit us. What else you got? There's got to be. So
Okay, so
now
yeah,
what
this
does
is
that
kind
mean?
of a quick, better way to see it before after
Yeah,
approach. But let's keep going here. All right. So current status, right? Just to kind of recap, Amazon auto reimburses for the three mentioned claim types, right?
yeah.
So that's the reality today. And of course, sellers need to audit and file for these three claim types. They have 18 months available. That's today. Coming soon on the deadline, October 23rd is when actually the windows time frames actually change. Um,
Mhm.
November 1st is when they're going to start proactively reimbursing for one claim type a bit more. But nevertheless, the actual deadline is October 23rd. So Amazon expects to improve auto reimbursement only for one claim type. Sellers will need to audit. File loss damages only have 2 months. Sellers will still need to audit and file customer return removals, but have much shorter time frames. So that's kind of the
Yeah.
snagging the deadline. Okay, so bottom line, sellers will have less time to file claims and recover reimbursements, which could be challenging. Okay, we discussed a bit more on that, but I do want to stop for a moment and provide a little bit of a history to bring more context. So this trend actually follows previous reductions in claim filing timeframes. For example, the 2019 cut from 18 months to 3 months for fulfillment fee overcharges, making it hard for sellers to address claims on time. So if I can actually go back, the reason why we use these charts is that right, these claim types, there's other claim types, but the reason I chose these two, the FBA shipments and dimension fees, is because they also used to be up to 2019 and 2020. They also used to be 18 months. So
Okay.
this FBA inbound was 18 months, and then 2019 or 2020, they changed it to 9 months in the US and 6 months in the UK and Europe. Okay, so we've seen
Okay.
this before, how they provide just less and less time, and this was also 18 months. And back in 2019, they trimmed it down to 3 months. So now these are kind of following up on that, and I got asked the question of, so let's go back to the history. Um, you know what are all these time frames, 18 months? Why is it like not 3 months from day one? So if I couldn't answer that officially on behalf of Amazon, but I can speculate this. I would say something like this, that when Amazon first launched FBA, was a new program for them, new program for the sellers. So they kind of said, let's provide 18 months or a year and a half for everybody to kind of be able to reconcile it and kind of deal with all the issues. And we have a little bit of a time frame to deal with it, right? So they bought themselves time, and also for their users, for the sellers. So that was arbitrarily decided, and it was probably a good time frame, more generous time frame. Let's put it this way: a year and a half. It's better than tax return time frames, which is
Yeah.
typically 3 months to 9 months if you get an extension. So yes, they needed that time in the sellers, because they tried to figure out, okay, what was the issues, what were the complaints, what got lost, what got damaged, what got destroyed, what got overcharged with fees, trying to figure it all out as it's new. So over the years, they got better at their systems and their automation, right? And also the sellers got better, especially when there's solution providers like Atita, for example, that also constantly does it on timely
Yeah.
fashion. For us, it doesn't matter. Amazon tells us we have 1 day, 9 months, 9 years, we will always get it on time. That's our fiduciary duty. We're like a Rolex. We're always clicking on time. So there's a whole wave of solutions like Atita, in the forefront, always to make sure that whatever time frames are allowed, we nail those. And Amazon system being, I guess, upgraded. So historically, they probably had all this time, and as things become more professionalized, they narrow it down so they can really have this on lockdown, and then really focus on other, issues and challenges and initiatives that they have, which are plenty, right, to begin with. So that's a little bit of perspective and history. It's not something new that we've seen in the past. It's actually following a certain trend. But the bottom line of this trend is that for sellers, it's challenging. But nevertheless, there are solution providers out there like Atita that can help with those challenges, because once again, this whole industry is constantly going to get more and more professional, more and more advanced. No way to escaping it. So if you're watching this, listening to this, that's the reality. It is true to any business, but on the digital e-commerce front, it's just much more rapid than traditional business. Constant changes, constant involvement. So you have to be always kind of top on that game. And the fact that you're watching or listening to this, it's a good indicator. It means you're absorbing, you're understanding what's changing, you're adapting, as opposed to the one who just live under a cave, they think they got the formula changes, they don't know what to do, they don't follow anything, they don't learn anything, they just get wiped out. This cycle constantly happens as far as we can see it. So that's a good point of reference. Okay, conclusion. Sellers need help navigate tighter deadlines and manage claims effectively. Sellers should act now. Again and clean up the past 18 months before October 3rd, the deadline. So let's talk math. Okay, of course we can, Gatito, we can help. So let's talk math.
Yeah.
These three claims, let's give a scenario just to illustrate. So these three claim types are about to change from 18 months to like 2 months, right? Let's say they're worth for you 1% from your revenue, because you can know I said like 1 to 3% of your revenue could get affected. Let's say it's about a third, right? Just for the sake of the example. So if you're doing about $1 million a year in FBA, 1 to 3% of issues, FBA refunds that you're eligible, can be 10 to 30,000. So 1% is about $10,000. So right now you're owed about $10,000, right? This is before the deadline. Once the deadline hits and 90% of the time frame gets shaved off, from $10,000 that you owed, which you can get right now, 90% of that you can just gets wiped out. So that's about $9,000. So once the headline comes in, if you don't clean it now and get your $10,000, you're only gonna be able to get $1,000 on October 23rd. That's what it means in math. In simple, really hyper simplified math. That's why you should probably act now, because Amazon's giving you that time frame window to go back and all of these issues that happened up to 18 months ago. In other words, some inventory that got lost or had a customer return issue 17 months ago, 16 months ago, you're still eligible to claim that and get a refund for it right now. Once the deadline comes in, you only can go back 2 months. So if you haven't optimized for that, you kind of give that away. That's why this is an extremely important session for you guys to understand and take action. Of course, we can help with that. We did, prepare an offer for you guys, for the listeners and the followers. We can touch that very soon. But your question is?
Yeah, and well, I actually want to double click on that, man. Like that's just money gone from your pocket sufficiently, right? Like at that point, right? Like it hits your profit pretty hard. Like, look, if you're already working with Gatita, you already have these things cleaned up. You're working on.
That's right. If you're already using us, you know no further action needed. If you're not using any provider, my strong advice is go. Go to the doctor. Go find your doctor. We happen to be a doctor that can help. But there's plenty of other doctors. But take action, really.
It's if you haven't taken in, it's the same thing that when we talk about like changing your price, when we talk about like looking at advertising and pricing together, it's the same thing that the longer you wait and here's an actual real deadline, there's no coming back from this after that point, right? And that's a direct hit to our profit. That's a direct hit to the money you're going to have in your pocket. And just looking at that math example, and like I've always understood that you're going to get a bunch of money back, and when you actually break it down and you actually say, okay, well, what is this number? This number, it really is that profit number. It is the dollars that you'll sit in your pocket that you'll get back, that you can't actually ever get back again. And so there isn't any more waiting for this. And again, you can still do the refunds and reimbursements after and all that fun stuff. But everything from October 23rd, let's go with 18 months before and whatnot. It's really that 14 month minus 4 there. You're losing out on that, right? And so
let's continue. Let's stretch this to the limit. Bear with me. I haven't tried this before, but let's say $9,000 is what, if you're doing $1 million a year, it's 1%. 90% of the time frame is gone. That's about 9,000. The example that we gave. Let's just plug in $9,000 from your net profit. So let's say you're doing $1 million a year on Amazon. What's your net profit? Let's say 15%. That's a good net profit, free cash flow.
Yeah, that'd be pretty solid. Yeah, 15% would be real nice.
Right. So
pretty much what the margin is right now.
Yeah, but so that's $150,000. So what's $9,000 divided by $150,000?
Divided by 150,000. You're stretching my math here, man.
Okay, let's do something. Let me open the calculator. 9,000 divided by 9 divided by 150. That's a 6% bump to your profit. 6% bump. You might be giving away if you don't take action now. Once again, this is money that's not available. If you bring that money back, that free cash flow, you're gonna bump your net profit by 6% just from taking one action or one decision, which is pretty cool. And here's what makes it even cooler. You take that $9,000 in, but you reinvest it to the business. You will buy more inventory, or just increase your ad budget. You drive more traffic, you drive more sales, you drive more revenue, or drive more profit again.
Yeah,
that is the flywheel that I'm talking about. If you do that, you're on the right side of the flywheel. If not, you're like bleeding money away and pissing it off. And while others are not, your competitors, that's when you might not survive and thrive.
It comes down to what your strategy is, right? Like where do you want to spend that dollar? It comes down to, do I want to grow? Do I want to keep more money in my pocket? what is the life cycle of my Amazon brand and where I'm at. But sufficiently, that is a good point, a good decision to be in, rather than not being able to even think about that, rather than not being able to have that 6% jump in profit. It's all about the percentage gain here on the profit line, right? And it feels so foolish not to do this. It feels so foolish not to make sure that the last 18 months are taken care of coming up to that deadline. And so, Yoni,
yeah, by the way, I do want to add to that, now that you guys really fully understand the cycle that we're understanding or advise you to do, that's where you can maybe understand a bit better our slogan. Our slogan is more than money back. It's the way forward. Why?
Yeah.
Because you get all this free cash flow, the money back, but then you reinvest it into the business. That pushes you and propels you forward.
I love it.
That's what we see our little role within this industry and space.
Yeah, I've loved the rebrand here, but that mission statement is really powerful, right? And one of the other things you mentioned was education. How can sellers reach out to you to get more information if they want to learn, do this on their own, if they want to handle it themselves, or actually even work with you guys? What's the path here? What would they need to do?
Okay, so let me share this. Actually, they prepared this for them, so I did prepare the resource. So let's see if I can share it. If you can bring that back on. Okay, guys. So like I said, we can help you in a few ways. One way you can just do it yourself, right? Do it yourself. If you want to do it, you can scan this. It'll give you access to a more than 3-hour workshop, kind of focusing on the main claim types. So you can really go and take action. This is the farm. We're giving it away. And of course, this is too much for you. You don't know where to begin. You have better things to do. That's fine. We did prepare also a $400 offer for you guys. Okay, a Trellis offer where the first. So just a few points I get to that. It's free to join. It's free to stay. There's no subscription. You can cancel at any time. Okay, we're purely performance based. We only charge a fee if we're successful in getting you a recovery. Okay, and not only that, that it's free to join and free to stay. This is a $400 offer, so the first $400 that we're gonna give you in FBA refunds will be free. We're not gonna charge you anything. Okay, this way you can kind of try out the platform, see where it's all at, where how it feels. And after $400, if you want to leave us, you can leave. If you want to stay, you can stay. It's up to you. But yeah, the idea is that it's a kind of a guarantee. You can have $400 extra in your pocket by just trying us out. It might take us a day or a few weeks, but you're going to have that $400 in your pocket. And once again, hopefully we can get you thousands or tens of thousands of dollars back that are simply not available before. And if you're a bit smarter than the average seller, which I am sure you are, you're going to reinvest into your business and grow it and push it to the right place. So this is the offer that we have. You can just scan this code or just visit getita.com/Trellis400. Okay, and you can be able to activate this offer. And once again, you have the deadline. So I'm going to feel like the radio people. Act now, deadline, act now. Really, there's no, you have time now. You have a good amount of time. We have a few weeks until the deadline hits. So if you join now, we're going to be able within a few weeks to go back 18 months, clean up shop, bring that to your pocket. So once the deadline hits and the time frames get narrowed, you're in the best way, best position possible.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, if you want to hit up Yoni, it's yonim@getita.com. Scan that QR code too. Yoni, that's a generous offer. I know you've also extended out one more offer. I know we talked about this, and it's exclusively for Trellis customers. You'll see it coming out in the newsletter later this week. It's 1,000 off for Trellis customers, and so that will actually be in the newsletter. So stay tuned in your inbox and make sure you actually are subscribed to our newsletter for that purposes as well. But Yoni, that's super generous. That's super kind of you. Everyone knows how to reach you, which is wonderful. And at the same time, I'm going to do something with Rob tomorrow, funny enough, on Sellernomics. I'm going to show this up here really quickly, where we're actually talking about profits within dynamic pricing and advertising and strategies to run the same. You'll see the LinkedIn. I'll post this. You'll see a LinkedIn event there as well, and that you can actually join and attend. I'll post this on LinkedIn. And make sure you guys can all see it. So if you're not following me on LinkedIn, make sure you are. If you're not following Yoni, make sure you're following him. More than enough information here, lots of education, and TLDR 6% increase in profit line here, just based on some rough math we did live. But that's a huge win. Get in front of that. Get your profits back. Get your dollars back. Make sure you do that before the deadline. Yoni, any parting words? Any parting thoughts for the audience?
Yeah, 30-minute watching this can maybe bump your profit lines by 6% or more. That's a cool advertising slogan. That's kind of the summary of it. But yeah, there's the deadline. Hopefully you guys act on time. Hopefully this is helpful. Thank you for having us. This is a constantly changing environment, so efforts like this are really helpful. I've seen this over the years. So thank you for having us. Thank you anybody for watching and listening and attending.
That's it. Thanks again. To go back to the analogy that Yoni made earlier, We are two puzzle pieces that will connect back to your main puzzle piece. We're happy to be partners. We're happy to be friends as well. And anything that either of us can support you with, hit us up. You should already know how to reach me, and you know how to reach Yoni now as well. But thank you all. Thank you for coming, and enjoy the rest of the day.